What's up, Vapers? Thanks for checking out Daily Vape TV. My name is Nick, and it's Fresh Build Friday. That's right, it's that time of the week again where we get you ready for the weekend with a brand new coil build. Now, I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. I've got something really cool to show you guys today. This is my take on a mini fused Clapton. Now, normally when I do fused Claptons, I use 26 and 36 gauge nichrome 80. However, today we're going to be using some 28 gauge as our core and 40 gauge for our outer wire, which should be really fun. Honestly, 40 gauge is not that hard to work with. I've done it time and time again. It just takes a lot of time, patience, and practice. So if you can do regular fused Clapton coils, this one should be a breeze for you. The reason we're doing such a small coil today is because it's going in this little guy here, the Muramasa tank by Mars Team. They sent this thing to me for the purpose of doing a video on it. So I'm priming you guys with the idea of a full review next week by building it today. All right, guys, let's get started. So go ahead and grab your mod, your addy, your wick, your wire, your tools, all that good stuff. Let's go down to the close-up view and build it up. Alright guys, so as you can see here, we have our Muramasa tank by Mars Team. This is the first ever RDTA to come out from Japan, so that's pretty cool. It's just a nice little RDTA. It's pretty small, so I wanted to fit some small coils in there. And it's just kind of a different technique and a little bit of a twist on the normal fused Clapton. So here we have our core wire, which is going to be 28 gauge. This is nichrome 80. Let's just go ahead and install it in the chuck of our drill real quick, spin it up, and straighten it out. So the next thing we're going to do is loop it through the end of our fishing spinner on this side here. It's just off frame, but trust me, I'm doing it. And we're going to make a little bit of a 90-degree bend, open up the chuck of our drill on this side here, and we're going to put this in for the time being until we can get our core wire out, or our outer wire out, I should say. So just pop that in there. Tighten it. And I'll actually bring the jig in a little bit so you can see the next step. We're just going to be pulling along this wire here to get out any of the slack, and then right at the very end we're just going to pinch it just like that. Usually what I'll do is just take my pliers and give it a final little pinch there just to make sure it's good and straight. So there we go. We're going to move our drill in a little bit, position everything, get it all ready to go. And now we can go ahead and put on our outer wire. So today we're going to be using 40 gauge nichrome 80 as well. Real quick, we're just going to grab our piece here, give it about, I'd say, a foot of slack. And we're going to put it back in the little thing here so it doesn't fly away on us. Open up the chuck of the drill one last time. And you want to just do a few manual wraps right around the end piece here, just so it doesn't go flying everywhere and, you know, spool out like crazy when we go to start this coil. So just do a few little manual wraps. Doesn't have to look pretty or anything like that. And one little pro tip that I will say is now you want to run the slack backwards so you can make up for it in the chuck of the drill. That way there's absolutely no slack in your wire. Tighten it down, get everything good and tight, ready to go. Now we can take it out of the little holder part there. So once you get it in the position that you're comfortable with, you're just going to go ahead and start up your drill. And just as simple as that, we made ourselves about a foot, maybe a foot and a half even, of this really nice thin gauge fused Clapton wire. So now we're just going to get out any of the twists, and the way we do that is just by simply reversing our drill, grabbing it right where the twists kind of start, and then just slowly backing off a little bit until it's pretty good and straight, just like that. I usually go about an extra half a twist or so, and that usually straightens it out pretty good. Anything like, there's a few little twists over on this section, but honestly, I'm not really worried about it. I think we can straighten those out as we're wrapping our coils. But there you go. That's a pretty simple mini fused Clapton. We're just going to cut it at that end there, and we'll get the camera repositioned, and we'll start building. Alright guys, so today we're going to be using this 2.5mm bit size for our coils. I wanted to just do something really tiny because this thing is a bit small. This Muramasa tank is pretty tiny, so I wanted to do something that would fit it and be pretty appropriate for it. So first things first, we're just going to put our strand right in our coil jig here, and it's pretty tough to keep an eye on these coils just to make sure they stay nice and flat and straight and everything like that. But with a little bit of practice and patience, I think we'll be okay. So we're going to do 6 wraps today. I think that should be good. So you want to keep a lot of tension on this wire. Try not to pull on it too much because I don't want this 40 gauge to break or anything like that, but you just got to be really super careful with it, that's all. So that's 3, 4, 5, and 6. That should be good. All right, now I have tons of wire left over, so really you don't have to do a whole lot of this stuff to make a couple really nice coils. If you wanted to do 7 or 8 wraps, then you could do that as well. I just feel like with this type of wire and this size and everything like that, it should be the resistance that I'm looking for. So there we go, there's one coil. Let's go ahead and spin up another one. So there you go, guys. We got our mini fuse Claptons all ready to go, ready to be installed on this Muramasa tank. I just like saying Muramasa. I'm not even gonna lie. So we're gonna bring it in real quick, and this should be a very simple build because it is a 2-post. So basically, just I got my screws all ready to go. Just kind of slip a coil in, get it real close to the deck, as close as possible, or as close to the screws as possible, I should say. Sometimes what I'll do, if I get it right where I want it, I'll just bend the legs out like that so I don't mess it up when I install my second coil. And then the second coil should just slip right in there as well. These post holes are like huge. They're probably 3mm. I might have to find that information out when I go to do my full review, probably next week on this device. So yeah. Let's just go ahead and pop these in. So yeah, just kind of be very gentle with these things. You don't want to like crank them in there or anything like that because, I don't want to ruin these beautiful coils that we just made. So 40 gauge is delicate stuff. You got to be very careful with it. So just ease it on there. Position it pretty close to what you where you normally position your coils. And you can bend up these legs as well. Just like that. We got a lot of room to work with since these coils are so small in this deck, but I wanted to kind of get them as close to the post as possible. Tighten them down. Again, be very gentle with it because this outer wire is very fragile. You really don't want to snap it. Actually, this whole wire, the entirety of this wire is very fragile, so you want to be just extra careful with it. Now you just want to stick your drill bit back through and just kind of yank those coils around a little bit, making sure they stay nice and straight. Get them as even as possible just before we clip our leads, just so we're in good shape. We want to have a nice clean workspace. So now I'm just clipping the excess wire off. And I'm also being a little bit more delicate so I don't ruin this beautiful gold plating. Hopefully it holds up better than Chinese gold plating because Chinese gold plating kind of stinks. I'm not even going to lie. The Azeroth gold plating is already starting to chip a little bit. Not a bad tank overall, the RDTA, the Azeroth, but it's a little bit cheaper on the build quality side of things. This one here feels like it's a lot better machined. I'll have to look up the price, but we'll go over all these details in the full review. You guys don't want to know about that just yet. You want to see me build the thing. So here we go. Straightening out our coils for, making sure we got them all set to go, ready for our little fire test here. You want to make sure they're pretty much in position. Get them looking nice and pretty, nice and secure before we actually give them some heat. Yeah, there we go. Just do a final little nudge And we're looking pretty good. So let's go ahead and lower the power on my Tempest here. I don't want to hit it with the full wattage just yet. I want to make sure, yeah, 35 watts, that should be good. Let's just gently tap, tap, tap. We want to get that color shot, you know? Everyone wants the color shot on Instagram, so you got to just be very gentle with it. Hit it with a very low wattage at first, and then nudge the power up ever so slightly. So right now, just doing a low wattage, 35 watt little test here. There we go. We're looking pretty good already. And basically, like, you know, OCD, just kind of repositioning the coils, making sure they stay nice and straight and everything like that. I don't know if you guys obsess over that as much as I do, but, you know, if you do, leave it in the comments. But we are looking pretty good already. It's going to take a lot of little fine tuning here. You got to be, like I said, just very gentle with these coils. You don't want to really mash them up too much because that 40 gauge outer wire is very, very, very brittle. Especially after it's been tuned up like this, it becomes even more brittle. All right, I think we're ready for the high wattage, which we're going to hit it with 60 watts. Oh yeah, that looks good to me. What do you guys think? I've got a little bit of space in between these coils here. I might have had a little bit of a twist or something like that, but overall, for not a lot of work, I think we're in good shape. So I'm just going to tune these up a little bit more, and then I think it's time to wick it. All right, so right here I'm actually gonna, just show you guys something really cool about this tank. Now, this deck actually spins out like this, and then you can just remove the whole deck without damaging your cotton or your coils or anything like that. Just spins out just like that. Now, with this, you can therefore, theoretically, tuck your cotton into the little wicking channels, just like that. You can get it all ready to go, and then just reinsert that little build deck, which is really kind of cool. Makes it a dream to build on, a dream to wick, and you know you have your cotton in the right position and everything like that. So that's just really cool. That's just one thing I wanted to show off about this little device here before we do our full review. Not sure if it's going to make life any, easier. I don't know. I find that getting these wick tails into the holes shouldn't be too difficult, but just kind of wanted to show off that to you guys. So there we go. Let's just tuck those in just like that. And that looks pretty decent to me. Good enough, I guess. And now we can just go ahead and slip it right back into the chamber and go ahead and twist it on just like that. So one of the other quirky things about this device is actually how you fill up that tank. Now, I was looking around this device and I was like, how the hell am I going to get juice into the bottom of this thing? When I noticed that there's a gap all the way around. So really the airflow can go back and forth as you fill it up. You just kind of fill it on the sides or anywhere you want, anywhere around that build deck, and it's going to push the air out the other side. So that's actually really ingenious. I'm loving this so far. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of this vapor production here. Let's go ahead and fire it at 60 watts. Not too bad if you ask me. Let's go ahead, go back to the main screen, have a quick vape on this thing, and we'll talk about it some more. Alright guys, we've reached the point in this video where we talk about the coils that we just made. Now my first category, as always, is the heat. The final resistance on this one came out to 0.24 ohms, which I was expecting it to come out a little bit higher. However, an extra wrap would definitely solve that issue for me. I was kind of looking for the target resistance between 0.3 ohms and 0.5 ohms, but 0.24 is definitely doing a good job for me here. I'm vaping it at 60 watts, and the voltage is hovering right around the 3.9 mark whenever I'm vaping on it, which is cool. Speaking of cool, actually the vape on it that I'm getting is relatively cool, maybe a little bit warm, but I feel like that's definitely appropriate for the juice that I'm vaping. I've got some of this fresh squeezed pineapple berries flavor by Vapor Stockroom. It's really tasty, and I have a feeling that if I was vaping this at any hotter of a temperature, then it would take away from that like refreshing factor. I'm definitely getting a solid, nice refreshing vape out of it as it is right now, so I'm gonna keep it right where it is. I'm definitely happy with that. My second category is the ramp up and ramp down time. So real quick, I'm going to take a pull off of this thing and we'll check out the ramp down time. So I'm getting about 1/4 of a second ramp up time, which is really insignificant. Honestly, the second I hit that fire button, I really feel those coils kick in, which is great. I can kind of attribute to the fact that there's not a lot of wire to heat up here. The coils are small, the wire is small, so everything just kind of ramps up almost instantaneously. The ramp down time is about 1.5 seconds to a 2 second, very light sizzle, nothing too, out of the ordinary. And I'm actually very happy with the performance on these things here because I was kind of expecting it to wick really well, and it definitely does. It's really keeping up, and I'm very happy with that fact. My next category is the difficulty of this build. Basically, the hardest part about this build here is working with the 40 gauge. Honestly, you're probably going to get a lot of little gaps and stuff like that in your wire, and I have some in mine. No big deal, honestly. I feel like with a little bit of practice and a lot of patience, you'll definitely nail this one almost immediately. If you guys can do regular fused Clapton coils, you should be able to master this one no problem. And my final category, the one you've all been waiting for, is the flavor. As I mentioned, I'm vaping this fresh squeezed pineapple berries flavor. It is top notch. I'm getting a nice, refreshing, sweet, juicy pineapple, and then a little bit of that berry kind of hints in the background when it comes to the exhale. So very, very delicious vape on this one. And as I mentioned in the heat section, yeah, the heat is on point, and I'm not getting, the flavor being killed off by anything like that. So very, very, very satisfied with this build here. I'm definitely going to be keeping on with this one here. Hopefully these coils will last me a while so I can just keep re-wicking it and not have any issue when it comes to rebuilding it. So there you go. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Stay tuned for the full review on the Muramasa tank by Mars Team coming up next week. Anyways guys, that about does it for this video. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more videos just like this. Of course, leave me comments in the box below of what you think of this build, whether or not you want to try it out for yourself or anything else you want to talk about down there. I'd love to discuss it with you guys. Of course, check the advocacy links in the description below. I've got them down there for you so you can fight for your right to vape. You don't have to do everything, but you do have to do something. Get out there and fight. Also, check me out on my different social media pages. I have Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you follow me on there. Like my page on Facebook. Check out my Snapchat. And if you want to give me a couple bucks on Patreon, that would be awesome as well. You guys are the best. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, vape on.